Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting, focusing on the top 9 most valuable Washington quarter-dollar coins. These coins, due to their rarity, condition, and historical significance, have fetched impressive sums in the current market. Let's explore these numismatic treasures. That's right. What was once pocket change might now be a small treasure hidden in plain sight. Let's dive deep into the fascinating history of the 1965 Washington quarter, why it's special, what errors and varieties to look for, and how much they're selling for in the current coin market. The story begins in the early 1960s. At the time, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But in 1965, everything changed. The United States Mint decided to remove silver from quarters and dimes due to rising silver prices and a national coin shortage. So starting that year, quarters were struck with a new composition, a copper-nickel clad with a pure copper core and a cupronickel outer layer. Even though the coin lost its silver content, the 1965 Washington quarter became iconic in its own right. The obverse still featured the familiar profile of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, and the reverse displayed the heraldic eagle with wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Although 1965 quarters were supposed to be struck only in the new copper-nickel clad metal, a small number were accidentally struck on the older silver planchets. These transitional errors are extremely rare and highly valuable. A genuine 1965 silver quarter can fetch thousands of dollars depending on its condition. One confirmed example sold for over $7,000 at auction. But that's not the only valuable version of this coin. Collectors also seek out quarters from 1965 with strong die errors. Some of the most desirable include double die obverse and reverse coins, off-center strikes, and coins struck on wrong planchets. For example, a 1965 quarter struck on a dime planchet will be smaller and lighter than normal and can easily be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on condition. Another factor that adds value is condition. Most 1965 quarters were heavily circulated, making high-grade uncirculated examples relatively rare. Quarters graded mint state 66 or higher by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC are worth significantly more than face value. In fact, a superb gem 1965 quarter graded MS 67 or higher can command several $100s or more. The highest grade known is MS 68, and those are exceedingly rare. So how do you tell if your 1965 quarter might be worth big money? Start with a scale. A normal 1965 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter should weigh around 6.25 grams. If your coin is heavier than it should be, you might be looking at a rare silver transitional error. Also check the color of the edge. A clad quarter will show a copper stripe on the edge, while a silver one will have a solid silver edge with no visible layering. Next, examine the coin closely under magnification. Look for signs of doubling on the letters and numbers, which could indicate a double die variety. Also look for signs of misalignment, extra thickness in the lettering, or unusual minting marks that could point to a valuable error coin. As of now, in 2025, the coin collecting market continues to be strong. Rare and high-grade 1965 quarters consistently sell for big premiums. Even common circulated examples in average condition may bring slight premiums if sold in bulk, especially to new collectors or people assembling date runs. In conclusion, the 1965 Washington quarter might not contain silver, but it holds incredible historical and collectible value. Whether it's a transitional error, a rare misstrike, or a top-graded specimen, this humble coin has made its mark in American numismatic history. So the next time you come across a quarter from 1965, don't just spend it. Take a closer look. You might be holding a small fortune in your hand. We're diving deep into the world of the 1974 Washington quarter-dollar coin. At first glance, it might seem like just another common coin in your pocket change. But hidden among millions are a few rare gems that can be worth thousands of dollars. So grab your loupe, and let's explore the surprising value of the 1974 quarter. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932, created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The 1974 version was struck during a time of economic change in the United States. The U.S. Mint was experimenting with different materials and die varieties as they prepared for the nation's bicentennial in 1976. This makes the 1974 quarter a key piece in the evolution of modern U.S. coinage. The 1974 Washington quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Denver coins have a small d. San Francisco coins were made primarily for collectors and feature the S mint mark. Most 1974 quarters were made with a copper-nickel clad composition. But here's where it gets interesting. There are some mysterious errors and varieties that make certain 1974 quarters worth big money. One of the most talked about is the 1974 quarter struck on a silver planchet. While these are incredibly rare, a few have been discovered and confirmed by grading agencies. Silver planchet errors happen when a coin intended to be made from copper-nickel is mistakenly struck on leftover silver blanks from previous years. If you find one of these in circulation or a collection, it could be worth thousands. Another valuable variation is the 1974 D quarter with strong doubling on the obverse. This is called a double die obverse error. You can spot this by closely examining the word Liberty or the date. If the letters or numbers appear doubled or have a shadow-like effect, you might be holding a valuable error coin. Depending on the condition and severity of the doubling, these coins can fetch hundreds of dollars or more from collectors. Speaking of condition, let's talk about grades. A standard 1974 quarter in circulated condition is worth only its face value, 25 cents. But in mint state, things get much more interesting. Uncirculated coins that have never been used and show no wear are graded from MS60 all the way up to MS70. The higher the grade, the more it's worth. For example, a 1974 D quarter graded MS67 by PCGS has sold for over $1,000 at auction. The reason is simple. High-grade examples are rare because most coins from this year entered circulation and were used daily. Now let's talk about San Francisco. The 1974 S quarters were not made for circulation. These were proof coins specially made for collectors. They have a mirror-like finish and are struck multiple times to bring out every detail. Most 1974 S proof quarters are worth a few dollars, but if they're in pristine condition, especially graded PR70 Deep Cameo, they can reach values over $100. Current market trends show increased interest in vintage coinage, including quarters from the 1970s. With inflation and metal prices rising, many people are looking to coins as a form of alternative investment. Combine that with the thrill of the hunt, and it's easy to see why 1974 quarters are getting attention. So how do you know if your 1974 quarter is valuable? Start by checking the mint mark. Look for the D for Denver or the S for San Francisco. Examine the coin for signs of doubling, especially around the word Liberty and the date. Weigh the coin if you can. A standard 1974 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs closer to 6.25 grams, it might be a silver error coin. Finally, check the condition. Coins with no wear, clean surfaces, and sharp details are always worth more. To sum it up, while the majority of 1974 quarters are common and worth only face value, rare errors, high grades, and unusual minting anomalies can turn this ordinary coin into a small fortune. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, it's always worth taking a second look at your change. Did you know that a simple coin from 1982 could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today? That's right. The 1982 D Washington quarter dollar might look like any other quarter in your change jar, but it's far from ordinary. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of this coin, exploring its history, why it's so rare, and how much it could be worth in today's market. So stick around, because if you've got one of these in your collection, you might just be sitting on a goldmine. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932. It was introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday and quickly became a staple of American coinage. Over the years, the design has changed several times, but the version minted in 1982 still featured the original bust of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. Now, 1982 was a unique year for American coinage. For the first time since the 1930s, the United States Mint decided not to produce any uncirculated coin sets for collectors. That's right, no mint sets. And why? Because of budget cuts and a general lack of interest from collectors at the time. But this decision had huge consequences for the 1982 coins that were released for circulation. Without official mint sets to preserve pristine examples, the only way to get a 1982D quarter in high-grade condition was from circulation. That means most of them were spent, used, and worn down. Finding a 1982D Washington quarter in truly uncirculated or mint state condition is now extremely difficult. And when something becomes rare, especially in top condition, the value skyrockets. Let's talk about the Denver Mint and the D Mint mark. The 1982D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, as shown by the small d under Washington's ponytail on the obverse. Millions were made, over 480 million to be exact. But don't let that number fool you. Just because millions were minted doesn't mean they all survived in good condition. In fact, the vast majority of these coins are heavily circulated and hold only face value. The real treasure lies in the high-grade examples. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher can fetch big money at auctions and among collectors. And if you're lucky enough to find a specimen graded MS67 or above, you're talking about a truly rare find. For example, a 1982D quarter in MS67 condition has sold for over $1,000. Yes, $1,000 for a single quarter. Not bad for 25 cents, right? But there's more. The 1982D quarter is also known for a special variety that collectors go crazy over. The rare and elusive no mint mark error doesn't apply to the Denver coin, but a similar kind of collector excitement is sparked by other quirks like off-center strikes, double dies, and strong versus weak strikes. While no major doubling errors are commonly documented for the 1982D quarter, any unique variation can add value. So how do you know if your 1982D quarter is valuable? First, look at the condition. Is it clean, with sharp details and minimal scratches? That's a good sign. Second, check for full strike detail, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. A coin with full detail and no signs of wear could be a mint state coin, which means serious value. If it looks promising, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade adds legitimacy and can massively increase the resale price. Now let's talk about current market value as of 2025. A typical circulated 1982D quarter is still worth its face value, just 25 cents. But if you've got a coin in mint condition, things get exciting. MS63 examples can bring around $10 to $15. MS65 jumps to $25 to $50. MS66 can reach $150 or more. And MS67, the elite grade, has seen auction results from $500 to over $1,200. Those are real numbers paid by real collectors. That's the power of rarity combined with condition. But the market is always changing. Coin values fluctuate based on collector demand, rarity, and even metal prices. While the 1982D quarter is made of copper nickel and doesn't have any silver content, its numismatic value is what makes it shine. Demand is strong, and the coin is getting harder to find in high grades every year. As more collectors complete their Washington quarter sets, the competition for nice 1982D examples increases, and so do the prices. So before you spend that old quarter, take a closer look. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your change. The 1982D Washington quarter might not look like much at first glance, but its story, rarity, and collector value make it one of the most interesting modern coins out there. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1990D Washington quarter dollar, a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but can actually be worth a lot more than just 25 cents. If you've got a jar full of change or a forgotten coin album, you might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. So stay tuned, because we're about to uncover why the 1990D Washington quarter could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. First, let's talk about the history of the Washington quarter. Introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, this coin quickly became a staple of American pocket change. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse of the coin features the profile of George Washington, while the reverse originally showcased an eagle with outstretched wings. This design remained unchanged for over 60 years, until the state quarters program began in 1999. Now let's narrow our focus to the 1990D Washington quarter. The D mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, where millions of these coins were struck in 1990. To be exact, over 927 million 1990D quarters were produced. That's right, nearly a billion. So how can a coin minted in such high numbers possibly be worth more than face value? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and most importantly, errors. Let's start with condition. Most of the 1990D quarters in circulation today are well worn. They've been used in vending machines, dropped in driveways, and jingled around in pockets for decades. But if you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, what collectors call mint state, then you could be in luck. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC can fetch $20 to $50 or more, depending on demand. But that's just the beginning. Enter the world of error coins. These are the real treasures. Mint errors are mistakes that occur during the coin production process, and they're highly sought after by collectors. For the 1990D Washington quarter, some of the most valuable errors include off-center strikes, double dies, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. For example, if you find a 1990D quarter that's missing part of the design because it was struck off-center, that could easily be worth $100 or more depending on how dramatic the error is. Then there are the double die varieties. These errors happen when the coin's die imprints the design more than once but slightly misaligned, creating a doubling effect on the coin's lettering or features. A true double die 1990D quarter can bring in serious cash, sometimes several $100s if the doubling is obvious and the coin is in good condition. Even rarer are quarters struck on different metal planchets. If a 1990D quarter was accidentally struck on a nickel, penny, or foreign coin blank, it can be worth thousands of dollars. These are incredibly rare, but they do exist. That's why every coin collector knows to weigh their coins and look for unusual characteristics. Let's talk about grading for a moment. If you think you've found a valuable 1990D Washington quarter, your first step should be to check its condition. Look at the luster. See how much detail remains on George Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. If it looks unusually crisp and clean with no signs of wear, you might have a mint state coin. The best way to confirm this is to send it to a professional grading service. A high-grade coin, especially with an error, can be worth exponentially more once it's officially graded and slabbed. Now let's look at some real-world examples of what these coins have sold for. As of this year, a 1990D Washington quarter graded MS67 by PCGS has sold at auction for over $600. Yes, $600 for a modern quarter. And error coins have gone for even more. A dramatic off-center 1990D quarter with full details can sell for $100 to $200, depending on the severity and visual appeal of the error. A double die could easily cross into the $1,000 range if confirmed and certified. So how can you tell if your 1990D quarter is valuable? Here are a few quick tips. First, check the mint mark. Make sure it's a D for Denver. Second, look for errors like off-center designs, doubling in the letters or numbers, or any other oddities. Third, examine the coin's condition. If it's shiny and crisp with full detail, it might be uncirculated. Finally, weigh the coin if you suspect it could be struck on the wrong planchet. A normal Washington quarter weighs 5.67 grams. Anything significantly off might indicate a rare planchet error. You might be wondering, should I clean my coin to make it look better? The answer is a big no. Cleaning coins almost always reduces their value. Collectors want coins in original, untouched condition, even if they're dirty or discolored. So resist the urge to polish it up. Your coin is more valuable just the way it is. To sum it up, the 1990D Washington quarter might seem common, but with the right error, grade, or rarity factor, it can be worth a lot more than face value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about the change in your pocket, it's always worth taking a closer look. Who knows, your next big treasure could be hiding in plain sight. If you're a coin collector or just someone curious about the hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're going to love this episode. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating history, rarity, and current market value of the 1996D Washington quarter dollar. You might be surprised to find out that some of these seemingly ordinary coins are worth a small fortune today. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features the familiar profile of America's first president. Over the years, the quarter has gone through various design changes and mint marks, but the Washington portrait has remained a classic. In 1996, the United States Mint produced quarters at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coin we're talking about today, the 1996 D, was struck in Denver and is identified by the small d mint mark on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytailed AT first glance. The 1996 D quarter might not seem all that special. After all, the Denver Mint struck over 900 million of them. That's right, more than 900 million 1996 D quarters were produced. So how could such a common coin be worth more than 25 cents? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and most importantly, errors. Now let's talk about value. Most circulated 1996 D quarters are still worth face value. That's expected. They've been passed around in everyday transactions for nearly 30 years. But collectors are not interested in the average examples. They're searching for coins in pristine condition, what numismatists call mint state. A 1996 D quarter in MS65 condition, that means no wear and only minor blemishes, can sell for between $5 and $10. But as you go up the scale, the value increases dramatically. In MS67, the coin might fetch up to $75 or more depending on demand. And here's the kicker: a 1996 D Washington quarter graded MS68 by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC could be worth hundreds, even over $1,000, because of how rare it is to find one that perfect. But that's not all. There's another reason collectors are hunting this coin: error varieties. These are mistakes that happen during the minting process, and they can turn a common coin into a high-value rarity. Some of the most desirable errors on 1996 D quarters include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned on the blank planchet, and double die errors, where the design elements appear doubled due to a misprint on the die. A dramatic off-center strike could bring in anywhere from $50 to $200, depending on how far the strike is off and how much of the design is missing. A clean double die error can fetch even more, particularly if it's prominent and easily visible to the naked eye. There are also other die-related anomalies like die cracks, die chips, and cuds, raised, unstruck areas where part of the die has broken off. These are often considered minor errors, but collectors love them, and some can still bring in a premium of $10 to $50 or more. So how do you know if your 1996 D quarter is worth anything? Start by looking for that D mint mark. Then examine the coin carefully under a magnifying glass. Check for any doubling, cracks, or irregularities. Look at the overall condition. If it has no scratches, no wear, strong luster, and looks nearly untouched, it might be worth submitting to a grading service. Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company are two of the most respected services in the industry. A small investment in grading could turn a nice quarter into a certified high-value collectible. Now let's look at the market.as of today. Demand for high-grade and error 1996 D quarters remains strong. More collectors are entering the hobby, and with the rise of social media and online marketplaces like eBay and heritage auctions, coin trading is more accessible than ever. A top-quality 1996 D quarter has sold at auction for over $1,500. That's right, $1,500 for a single quarter. But again, those are rare examples in pristine condition or with major errors. It's unlikely you'll find that kind of value in your change jar, but it's not impossible. Coins are still being discovered in rolls, in old collections, and even in pocket change. So what should you take away from this? First, check your change. Always. You never know what you might find. Second, if you're serious about coin collecting, learn to recognize value based on condition and error types. The 1996 D quarter may not be rare in quantity, but it can be rare in quality. And finally, understand that coin collecting isn't just about profit. It's about history, art, and the thrill of discovery. Deep dive into the fascinating world of the 2001 New York State quarter. While it might appear as just another coin in your pocket, this quarter holds a rich tapestry of history, artistry, and, for some lucky individuals, significant monetary value. Let's embark on a journey to uncover the stories and potential treasures behind this remarkable piece of currency. Chapter 1. The 50-State Quarters Program. In 1999, the United States Mint launched the 50-State Quarters Program, a 10-year initiative that honored each of the 50 states with unique quarter designs. Released in the order of statehood, these coins became a cultural phenomenon, sparking widespread interest in coin collecting and educating the public about state histories and symbols. Chapter 2. The 2001 New York Quarter design released on January 2, 2001. The New York State Quarter was the 11th coin in the series. Designed by Alfred Maletsky, the reverse side features the Statue of Liberty superimposed over an outline of the state, with a line tracing the Hudson River and the Erie Canal. The inscription "Gateway to Freedom" pays homage to New York's pivotal role as a port of entry for millions of immigrants. The obverse retains the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Chapter 3. Mintage and circulation. The Philadelphia Mint produced a staggering 655,400,000 of these quarters, making them widely available in circulation. While most of these coins are common, certain factors can elevate their value significantly. Chapter 4. Factors influencing value: condition and grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better condition. Uncirculated coins with grades of MS65 or higher can fetch more than face value. For instance, a 2001 New York Quarter in MS67 condition has been valued at approximately $2.50 to $4.85 proof coins. The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions of the state quarters, intended for collectors. These coins have a mirror-like finish and are not released into general circulation. A silver-proof 2001 New York Quarter can be worth between $12 and $20, depending on its condition. Error coins. Mistakes during the minting process can create rare and valuable coins. Notable errors for the 2001 New York Quarter include: missing clad layer. This error reveals the copper core of the coin and can significantly increase its value. Such coins have sold for between $90 and $500. Strike-through errors occur when foreign materials interfere during the striking process, leading to unique imprints. A 2001 Quarter with a retained strike-through error sold for $1,020 in 2018. Chapter 5. The mule error phenomenon. One of the most intriguing and valuable errors in U.S. coinage is the mule error, where mismatched dies are used on a single coin. A famous example is the 2000 Sacagawea dollar that features the obverse of a Washington quarter. Only a few of these coins exist, with one selling for $88,125 in 2013. While not directly related to the 2001 New York Quarter, this highlights the potential value of minting errors. Chapter 6. Current market trends. As of 2025, the market for state quarters remains robust among collectors. While most 2001 New York Quarters in circulation are worth their face value, coins in exceptional condition or with notable errors can command higher prices. Collectors continue to seek out these unique pieces, keeping the market active and dynamic. Conclusion. The 2001 New York State Quarter is more than just spare change. It's a piece of art, history, and, potentially, a valuable collectible. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a curious newcomer, examining your coins for unique features or errors could lead to exciting discoveries. So, take a moment to check your change. You might just hold a small fortune in your hands. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating pieces of modern American coinage, the 2016 quarter dollar. That's right, the Philadelphia minted quarters from 2016. These aren't just your average pocket change. Some of these coins have become valuable collector's items and can be worth far more than just 25 cents. So stick around, because by the end of this video you might be checking your change a whole lot closer. Segment 1. The America the Beautiful series. Let's start with the basics. In 2010, the United States Mint launched the America the Beautiful Quarters program. Each year, 5 different designs were released, honoring national parks and historic sites across all states and territories. In 2016, 5 unique designs were minted: Shawnee National Forest in Illinois, Cumberland Gap in Kentucky, Harper's Ferry in West Virginia, Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota, and Fort Moultrie at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. Each of these designs came with a P mint mark for coins struck in Philadelphia. Segment 2. Why the 2016 P quarters are special. What makes these coins so interesting to collectors? Well, it's not just the design. It's also the minting quality, the errors, and the condition of the coins. While hundreds of millions were minted for circulation, only a tiny fraction were struck with exceptional detail or have rare varieties. This is where it gets exciting. Some 2016 P quarters have misaligned dies, double dies, or other striking errors that dramatically increase their value. Segment 3: Rare errors and what to look for. So let's talk about those errors. First up, the double die. On some 2016 P quarters, you can find doubling in the lettering, especially on the reverse of the Harper's Ferry and Cumberland Gap designs. Look closely at the inscriptions like E pluribus unum or the names of the parks. That doubling effect can turn a regular quarter into a coin worth $50 or even hundreds depending on condition. Another big one is die cracks. On the Shawnee design, some coins show a crack that runs through the tree line or the rock formations. These aren't as valuable as double dies, but collectors love them and will often pay $5 to $10 or more. Then there are off-center strikes and coins with missing clad layers. These errors are more obvious and easier to identify. Depending on how dramatic the error is, these can be worth anywhere from $20 to several $100s. Segment 4: Grading and condition. But even without errors, condition matters. A 2016 P quarter in mint state, that's MS65 or higher, can be worth a premium simply because so few survive circulation in pristine condition. Coins graded by PCGS or NGC in high mint state grades can command prices from $10 to $50, depending on the design and demand. For example, a high-grade 2016 P Harper's Ferry quarter once sold for over $100 at auction due to its stunning luster and nearly flawless surface. Keep your eye out for coins with no scratches, no nicks, and perfect strike details. Segment 5: Market value in 2024 and beyond. So what are these coins worth today? As of 2024, the average circulated 2016 P quarter is still worth face value, just 25 cents. But if you find a high-grade version, or one with a recognized error, the value can skyrocket. Some certified errors have fetched $250 or more, and certain double die varieties are consistently trading in the $50 to $100 range. And here's the thing, these coins are still relatively new. As more collectors enter the hobby and as older collections get picked over, demand for high-quality modern coins continues to grow. Segment 6: How to check your change. You're probably wondering how to start. The good news is you don't need fancy equipment. A good magnifying glass, decent lighting, and a little patience are all it takes. Start with your spare change jar. Look for coins with the P mint mark and check the date. Examine the details on the reverse design carefully. If anything looks odd, compare it to a known reference online or get a second opinion from a local coin shop. If you think you've got something really special, consider submitting it to a third-party grading company for evaluation. Segment 7: Final thoughts and collector tips. To wrap things up, the 2016 P $quarter coins are a great example of how modern coins can be both fun and potentially profitable to collect. Whether you're searching for double dies, mint errors, or just high-grade specimens, there's a lot of treasure hiding in your change. And even if you don't strike gold, the journey of learning, collecting, and discovering history one coin at a time is worth every moment. So don't underestimate the coins in your pocket. They might just be worth a small fortune. Outro. We're diving into one of the most surprising modern coins that's catching fire in the numismatic world. I'm talking about the 2020 P Mint Mark $quarter coins. You might have one in your pocket right now that could be worth a small fortune. So don't go anywhere because we're unpacking the full history, what makes these coins special, and just how much they're worth today on the collector's market. Section 1: Background of the 2020 quarters. In 2020, the United States Mint released a new set of America the Beautiful quarters. This was part of a decade-long program that began in 2010, highlighting national parks and landmarks from every state and territory. In 2020 alone, 5 designs were released: the National Park of American Samoa, Ware Farm National Historic Site in Connecticut, Salt River Bay in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Marsh Billings Rockefeller National Historical Park in Vermont, and Tallgrass Prairie in Kansas. Each of these quarters came with different mint marks: D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and the one we're focusing on today, P for Philadelphia. Now, at first glance, these coins might look like regular change. But a twist came when the U.S. Mint released a small batch of these quarters with a unique addition, a tiny W mint mark from West Point and colorized finishes. This sparked attention. However, the P Mint Mark coins minted in Philadelphia have quietly gained value for another reason. Section 2. Why the 2020p Mint Mark quarters are special. So what makes the 2020p quarters stand out? First, 2020 was a year unlike any other. With the global pandemic halting operations and limiting mint output, the mintage numbers for all coins saw unusual patterns. Philadelphia still produced millions of quarters, but demand for physical change dropped, and coin circulation froze in many areas. Second, errors. Yes, some of these 2020p quarters were released with fascinating minting errors that now command big premiums. These include off-center strikes, die breaks, doubling on the obverse or reverse, and even full strike-through errors. Collectors love these anomalies, and the 2020p series has more than its fair share. And third, condition. Because of the drop in coin usage during lockdowns, many of the 2020p quarters remained in mint state condition. If you find one of these coins fresh and uncirculated, especially in MS65 condition or higher, it could be worth well over its face value. Section 3, the most valuable 2020p quarters. Let's look at the specific coins and what they've sold for. The 2020p National Park of American Samoa quarter, featuring the now famous fruit bat design, is a collector favorite. In perfect mint state condition, especially MS67 or MS68, this coin has fetched up to $50 to $75 at auction. Some error versions, like strike-through grease errors or double die reverses, have brought in $200 or more. The 2020p Where Farm quarter has also turned heads. With only a few examples graded in the top MS68 range, prices have shot past $100 per coin. Again, condition and uniqueness drive this value. The Salt River Bay quarter from Philadelphia is another coin to watch. Errors on this design, especially die chips and cuds near the palm trees, have been spotted and graded by major services. One coin sold recently for nearly $300 due to a dramatic retained die break on the obverse. Marsh-Billings Rockefeller quarters, while less flashy in design, have shown solid collector demand. MS67 and MS68 graded coins can earn sellers anywhere from $40 to $100, depending on eye appeal. And don't overlook the Tallgrass Prairie quarter. It's visually stunning, and high-grade P-Mint Mark examples have also broken the $100 mark, especially those with struck-through or doubling errors. Section 4, Current market value and where to sell. So, what are these coins worth today? As of 2025, the 2020p Mint Mark quarters in average circulated condition are worth between 25 cents and 50 cents. But if your coin is uncirculated, especially in MS65 or higher, values can jump quickly. Certified coins in MS67 can sell for between $50 and $150. And if you have an error coin, well, you could be looking at a few $100s or more. The best places to sell your valuable 2020 quarters include online auction platforms like eBay, where coin collectors from around the world are always watching. You can also check out coin grading services like PCGS and NGC, which can authenticate and grade your coin to boost its market appeal. And of course, local coin shows or dealers can also be a good starting point, especially if you want to avoid shipping. Section 5. How to identify valuable versions. If you want to know if your 2020p quarter is valuable, here's what to look for. First, check the condition. Use a magnifier or jeweler's loupe to look for scratches, wear, or signs of circulation. The fewer flaws, the higher the grade. Next, examine for errors. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, missing details, or odd lines and textures on the coin's surface. Even small die chips can add value. Finally, research recent sales. Sites like PCGS Price Guide or auction databases can help you gauge what similar coins have sold for. Section 6. Final thoughts. The 2020p Mint Mark quarters may not be ancient treasures, but in the world of modern coinage, they represent a fascinating mix of history, scarcity, and collector appeal. Whether it's the bat design that became a pandemic symbol or the rare errors that slipped through the mint's radar, these coins have captured the imagination of collectors across the country. So the next time you get change from a vending machine or cash register, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of history worth far more than 25 cents. We're diving deep into something really interesting: the 2020p Mint Mark $quarter coins. These quarters might look like your everyday change, but trust me, there's a lot more to these coins than meets the eye. We'll explore their history, what makes them special, and most importantly, their current market value and why some of them are worth a lot more than face value. So, if you're a coin collector, history buff, or just curious about the value of these coins, stick around. Let's get started. First off, a little background on the 2020p Mint Mark Quarter. The 2020 quarters are part of the America the Beautiful series, which ran from 2010 to 2021. These quarters highlight national parks and sites across the United States, and 2020 featured some iconic locations. The P Mint mark means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the main mints in the U.S. Philadelphia has been minting coins since the late 1700s, so the P mark is pretty significant. Now, 2020 was a unique year for quarters because it was in the middle of the America the Beautiful series, and also a year when the U.S. Mint faced some operational challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This affected production numbers, circulation, and ultimately the availability of certain coins. Because of these factors, some 2020 quarters, including those with the P Mint mark, have caught the attention of collectors. Let's talk about the designs for 2020. The coins feature sites like the National Park of American Samoa, War Farm National Historic Site, and Salt River Bay National Historical Park and Ecological Preserve. These quarters celebrate American heritage and natural beauty, which is why they're popular among collectors. Now, you might be wondering, are these 2020p Mint Mark quarters rare? The answer is kind of complicated. While millions were minted, the pandemic disrupted circulation patterns. Many of these coins didn't enter general circulation as much as in previous years. Also, the Mint produced a limited number of high-quality, uncirculated, and proof versions of these quarters that are highly sought after by collectors. So, depending on the condition and the specific issue, some 2020p quarters can be worth a good deal more than their face value. For instance, a regular circulated 2020p quarter is usually worth just 25 cents. But if you have an uncirculated coin or a proof coin with a perfect condition, that means no scratches, no wear, and a sharp design, the value jumps significantly. High-grade uncirculated 2020p quarters can be worth anywhere from $2 to $10, and proof versions, especially those in special sets or with rare errors, can fetch even more. Speaking of errors, that's where things get really exciting for collectors. Error coins are coins that were struck with some kind of mistake or anomaly, like double dies, missing mint marks, or off-center strikes. In 2020, some P Mint mark quarters have appeared with such errors, and those can be extremely valuable, sometimes selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Let's touch on the current market value. As of 2025, the market for 2020p quarters has stabilized but continues to show interest from collectors. Online marketplaces, coin shows, and auctions reveal that circulated coins remain close to face value, but uncirculated coins in MS65 or higher condition are selling for around $5 to $10 each. Proof coins, especially those from the 2020 America the Beautiful sets, can command prices from $15 to upwards of $50 for pristine specimens. If you're lucky enough to own a 2020p Mint mark quarter with an error or a rare variant, those can be much more valuable. For example, an off-center strike or a double die could push the value into the hundreds or thousands of dollars if verified and graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC.so. What does this mean for everyday coin collectors or people who just found a 2020p quarter in their pocket change? First, don't toss those coins just because they look ordinary. Check the condition carefully. If you find a shiny, uncirculated quarter with a sharp design and no wear, it might be worth holding on to it. Look out for unusual features like doubled images or missing details, which could indicate an error coin. For those interested in investing or expanding their coin collection, focusing on 2020p quarters in mint condition, especially proof sets or those with low production numbers, could be a smart move. These coins represent a snapshot of history during a tumultuous year and are increasingly appreciated by collectors worldwide. To sum up, the 2020p Mint mark quarter dollars are a fascinating part of U.S. coin history. While most are worth face value, some rare, uncirculated, proof, or error coins from 2020 have significantly higher values and can be a valuable addition to any coin collection. Whether you're a casual collector or a serious investor, keep an eye on these coins. Their story and value might surprise you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2020p Mint mark quarters, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future videos on coin collecting and history. Also, leave a comment if you have any questions or want to share your own experiences with these coins. Thanks for watching and see you in the next.